name's Kate Emily Brinley, and I'm a global advocate and coach for people living with borderline personality disorder. I founded an organisation called Each Person Counts, and we also provide advocacy for survivors of childhood sexual abuse and people with complex PTSD, or we also provide institutional consultancy services. So the clip that I'm doing today on BPD, or disorder of extreme stress, or whatever the label is on the symptom impulsivity that is potentially self-damaging for people with borderline personality disorder, and how I've done my best to heal from that in the hope that it might help you there at home. So I am definitely an impulsive person. I always have been, and I probably always will be. And I think that we can be impulsive in a way that's self-nurturing, or we can be impulsive in a way that is self-damaging. And so with borderline, getting that diagnosis, the area has to be potentially self-damaging. So I guess for me, looking at my own impulsivity, which I can talk about, and trying to gain insight and understanding into why I've had self-damaging impulsivity. For me, the only way to explain it is that I believe our natural state, or a state that we can attain and try to expand as much as possible, not live in always, but our natural state is one of ease, is one of joy, is one of peace, is one of connection to other people. And I believe that we're born with that. We feel that in our mother's wombs, and we all desire that. And it's a natural state to feel that. It's our birthright, it's my belief. And when we have borderline personality disorder, that means that there's been things that have happened in our lives, experiences that we've had that have caused us to stress, that have caused us to dissociate, that have caused us to feel empty, that have caused us to numb out, that have caused us to have addictions, that have caused us to harm ourselves. So when we have those experiences of distress, of trauma, we may not be able to name them, but we've had them. We may have had one or two, we may have had multiples piling up, but we're in a fight or flight response, and we're stuffed down, stuff down all of our natural feelings of joy, of peace, of aliveness, of happiness, of connection, of life force, stuffed down for years, right? And we get to a point where we can't stuff that down anymore, and it bubbles up, it comes out. And if we're not fully recovered and we haven't had the skills and the right therapy, then when that stuffed feelings come bubbling up, it can come out in unhealthy and reckless ways. Spending, I would just spend. I would just max my credit card out, pay it back, max it out, pay it back, max it out. And impulse, I'll just buy, a friend's painting that costs $400. I'll just buy those $400 boots. When you have borderline and you're feeling depressed and you're feeling like life isn't worth living, we're not thinking about retirement. We're not thinking about 20 years, 30 years down the track. We're thinking, how can we get through today? How can we survive today? How can I regulate myself today? How can I feel better today? We're not thinking about long term. We're thinking in survival mode. So putting something on the credit card or spending money in the overall scheme of surviving the day, we just do it, right? But once we recover, then we can start thinking more long term. Once we do DBT or learn mindfulness, or other ways that we can go into, but definitely can relate to the spending one. How do we heal that we heal ourselves. We get connected to our innate feelings. I rest yoga nidra's done that for me, and we don't feel the impulse as much, or if we do, we can be mindful of it. Sex, impulsivity with sex. Now with me, because my abuse was so violent and I was raised in a loving family that was quite conservative, for me sex was for a very long time traumatic and something to avoid, something that I couldn't be free with. But that has since changed, and you'll see that in my tantric intimacy clips. But for me it was something that was traumatic and that I avoided, and it was a trigger. And whereas with a lot of people that experience particularly incest or molestation, so people with borderline personality disorder who have experienced forms of incest or molestation where there's been a disturbance in a loving attachment figure, combining that with sexual abuse. And often that can be done in a gentle way, which causes further kind of disturbance to the individual in the ways that they view love and the way that they view sex and their place in the world. And so understandably, people that have lived with that through their childhood and haven't got the right help can be very impulsive with sex, where they are putting themselves in dangerous situations repetitively, where they're being harmed. And part of that is possibly, from unhealed childhood trauma being relived out, and that can be a very painful process. Yes, people can have an empowering sex life where they choose with whom they share that side of themselves with, but that is in a safe way, not a self-damaging way. So here we're just talking about self-damaging. So if someone is engaging in self-damaging sexual impulsivity, likely to do with unresolved childhood incest and molestation. That's my view. Sorry, that clip just ran out of battery. So just picking up from how we can heal self-damaging impulsivity with sex, and that is to recognize that a lot of people who have impulsive, self-destructive sexual behaviour with borderline are actually people that are traumatized, that have experienced childhood sexual abuse trauma. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys are the statistics. And when we can connect the dots and see how our past has is impacting on our current situation, then we can heal ourselves and attract loving relationships or empowering sexual relationships in our lives, where we're conscious of our choices and how they are self-nurturing for us, not self-damaging. The next one is impulsivity with substance abuse, and I definitely can relate to this. I'm going to do a whole clip on addictions, but my addiction was marijuana and binge drinking. So in my early 20s is textbook period when any unresolved trauma will manifest, and certainly did for me. And I was in so much pain. I was suffering so much, and I did not understand why. I was so traumatized, and I didn't understand it. And I used marijuana to numb my pain, and it worked. It did numb me. It had some bad side effects, but I agree with the specialist Gabor Mate, who is an addiction specialist, and he states that all addictions are the result of suffering and trauma and numbing ourselves to that. So a way to heal that is to, first of all, acknowledge whether we're the person with BPD or their loved one. That if you have BPD and you have an addiction, then it's because you're distressed, you're numbing pain. And when we can acknowledge that to ourselves and acknowledge that we have an addiction, then we're one step further in healing it and having self-compassion for ourselves and seeing that the addiction has served a purpose in our lives. The marijuana, the binge drinking on alcohol helped me to regulate an out of control state where I didn't have access to the right therapeutic support. So I've been able to heal myself so that I don't have any addictions now, and it's taken a lot of years and self-soothing practices and mindfulness and mind, body, spirit health, and to lessen the pain so that I'm not feeling the need to numb the pain. So the next one, reckless driving, I've done that. Very dangerous, life or death. People can die when they drive recklessly, or drink drive, or road rage. Again, to me, it's just another sign of someone distressed, in trauma, dissociated, reckless, not caring if they live or die, trying to get through the day. And binge eating, again, numbing pain, another way to numb pain. So first step, acknowledge I'm in pain for a reason. There's some type of distress or trauma in my past, and this is a way that I'm regulating myself, and then having compassion for ourselves, so that we're doing the best we can with what we know at the time, and also reaching out and getting informed. What's happening? Why am I doing this? What could be underneath this? Who else is going through this? Connecting with other people. So that's a clip on impulsivity, and why I feel that we have that with BPD, and how that can manifest in either self-damaging or self-nurturing ways. I guess the self-nurturing side of impulsivity is being able to be playful with life, being able to be lighthearted, being able to be curious about life, being able to be spontaneous in life, and do things on the spur of a hat, or be fun, be engaging, take risks, start chats with people we don't know, and be playful is to be impulsive, but that's in a way that is nurturing for us and those around us, not putting us at risk of harm or our lives at harm. So that's a kind of the opposite side of when we can heal this depth of intensity of impulsiveness that's self-damaging. We get to experience the opposite end of playful spontaneity that's self-nurturing, and that's one of the gifts of resolved borderline personality disorder. So I hope you've enjoyed that clip. If you know anyone that you feel might benefit, please forward the link to them. And thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave comments below. I take in all feedback, and thank you.